turn this down.
Hello, hello. You can hear me?
Oh yeah, you're very loud actually, dang. Okay, that should be good.
Okay. Is that audio better? Audio level any better?
Yeah, that should be good now. I just turned you down
Alright.
a little bit. Whenever you want, stares at screen for 10 hours. I was opening Discord and stuff, okay?
Alright, so what are we starting with? Like, how do you usually start these?
Well, normally I'm like just kind of going through your profile a little bit just to check everything, but I also just ask you if you have any immediate questions or like if you already know like the first topic you want to do or anything.
I don't know the first topic I want to do. I didn't really pick any particular order of any of the things that I wrote down or whatever, so however you feel is the best order would probably be the best.
Okay. What? Just pick one random thing off your list, I guess, if you have things written down already.
Let's say accuracy, playing too fast,
Okay.
overstreaming. Like that's, I think one of my biggest issues is I'm hitting early very often, and I think that's the biggest problem with my accuracy.
Right. And I can, like, did you get replays already?
I don't have any replays in particular. I think most of the songs that I can reference, you should be able to just watch on your end already,
Okay, yeah.
because
I could watch Twilight Sky is your favorite score.
oh god, yeah, that one's a good example of
Actually,
me hitting too fast.
it might actually be good then. Just so I can get a, you know, I've already seen you play, obviously, but maybe get a better idea of what's happening.
This one is a bit older, so I'd say maybe I'm a little bit better on the accuracy, but this is still a
Probably.
good example of what's kind of going on. I think I do miss seeing some streams in this as well, which cause some accuracy issues, but I won't consider that because missing streams, I'm gradually improving on the actual aim portion as my tapping gets better. It's like I'll have a consistent tapping, but I'll have a consistent tapping like early. I think more recently, I've been having instances where I'm tapping a stream pretty consistently, but I'll have like 2 notes out of that stream I just randomly hit early.
Okay. So I always feel like whenever I'm watching you play, that I guess you have a bit of a, like, just general control issue, because like you're pretty fast with streams, pretty naturally it seems like. So you have trouble just kind of like maintaining a slow speed. Because I mean, do you still overstream whenever you're playing like 200 plus?
Sometimes, yeah, I do.
Okay.
In fact, the most recent, the 210 BPM one, I can't remember the artist name. Other Realm?
Yeah.
Like, that's a 210 BPM, and I think the majority of my accuracy drops were overstreaming.
Okay. I think you might just need to like play a lot of kind of 160 BPM streams and stuff that maybe don't have much aim, so you can just fully focus on your tapping. Because you know how to tap stably, I feel like, but you just like you just go too fast, man.
Yeah.
This isn't too bad so far, 97. And I also have noticed before, whenever I watch you play, just that you seem rather inconsistent at aiming like normal spacing streams. Oh, the 1/3s.
Yeah, the 1/3s definitely got me there.
Because I feel like your skill cap for flow aim is like pretty good. You can hit quite a lot of tough streams, but then like within that same map, you'll start missing a bunch of just like really normal ones.
I noticed that as well, and I wasn't exactly sure why. My suspicion is density and reading. Maybe when streams spread out, I can read them easier because it's a less dense thing to read.
Yeah, that can be part of it.
That's only my suspicion. Because the truth is I don't know.
Right. Like actually understream those.
Kind of what I'm in the middle of diagnosing.
I think a lot of it might be not really like reading streams like carefully enough, if that makes sense. Like you're not really like paying close enough attention to every note, I guess. Whereas like if it's really spaced, you can kind of more easily look at the whole thing, I guess, and just move your cursor through it without like getting lost with where you are, kind of. Or like if there's any direction changes and stuff, it's more super obvious and you see it very clearly. Compared to like if it's all, you know, dense like you were saying, then it's kind of easy to miss it, kind of. Were you nervous at all during this?
I think I did get a little nervous at the end because I realized I was FCing.
I wasn't sure because like you'd maybe not be nervous because you're just like, oh my god, I don't even want to FC it right now, man.
But it was at this point I was like, okay, I'm gonna FC, but my other score on this has better accuracy, and it's probably this probably isn't gonna submit over it because the accuracy is so bad. And I was wrong.
Yeah, that's almost never the case actually. Like you can FC with a B rank and it's still gonna be mostly anything that's not an FC. Unless you missed like right at the end or something. Yeah, how do you do on like 160 blend S?
160? It depends. I actually think my 160 is worse than my 180 for sure. So I'd say, like, if I were to say a good consistent BPM for me that is really comfortable, I could do all day, it's going to be 180.
Okay, that's fair.
When I start to get lower, I start to get too fast, and obviously higher is I can handle, but it's just more stamina draining.
Your score on it's actually like pretty solid though, 160. Okay, you don't have one on 170. Right, no, wait. Am I blind? Okay.
I don't think I have one on the 170.
Isn't he at 99% on like 140 or 130 long stream practice map? Maybe, but that's kind of different. Like if you can act those, that's good, but it doesn't always translate perfectly to playing a real map.
Yeah.
Those are more for like getting your technique down very well. And stamina, I guess, like endurance.
Yeah, and I feel like I have somewhat of a good technique, and obviously I have good stamina.
Yeah,
so
I think your
really
technique's good.
It's a matter of control at that point.
I think it's like you start having to mix it in with like actually having to aim, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
What about... This has some aim.
What about... I'll probably have to send you this because this is unranked, but the... I can't remember the name of it, I'll just have to pull it up. Tamborizing.
That's what I'm on.
Is there a ranked version?
No.
Okay, so I'll just send you the
I have.
thing.
I probably have it.
Well, I was gonna send you the replay.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought you were looking for a map, and then you just so happened to be looking for the same map I'm already on.
Oh, that is the wrong one. I want to do this one. Let's do this one. This should be 429.
Okay, that's not too bad.
This one's really recent, so it should be a much better representation.
Okay.
Kind of like where I'm at now.
Or I guess also, like, if you're warmed up and you actually want to play right now, that would also work for with whatever.
That would also not be terrible as well. I'm not super warmed up on streams, but I did try to play some before we started.
Okay.
I'd say on 160, even though it may actually look like it on my UR, that was just a misaim on the
Yeah.
on the first one. Like that one's always really weird to aim for me because it's just a complete reverse. But yeah, just if it's not easy to see, I struggle. Like I'm really holding back myself to try and not overstream.
Okay.
And I'd like to not be trying to force myself to not overstream on low BPM, but it's just like I'm always not forcing myself.
You're always not forcing yourself?
I'm always forcing myself to not. I mean,
Okay.
sorry.
I mean, I think a lot of it can be just needing to actually focus on the song a bit more, like more learning how to just actually tap like certain BPMs compared to just like I feel like maybe you're just kind of you play the map and then you do your technique and you're just gonna like kind of feel it out what the speed will be instead of kind of like you can even look at the number and be like, okay, I know this is 160. I've streamed 160 before. And I can try to do like about that speed on this. Maybe you need to like change a tiny bit because some maps just feel different. But generally speaking, like I think it can help to have a sort of muscle memory of just how to actually stream particular BPMs.
Yeah.
That way you're not always having to be like, okay, I'm just going to try and tap this and I'm like, wait, but that's way too fast. And I have to just keep slowing down all the time.
Yeah, I do that very often where I don't even look at the BPM of the map. If I download a map, I'll just be like, okay, this sounds like something that I could do or possibly do, and I'm just gonna try and feel it out and see if I do it. And I guess part of the mentality behind that was initially I had thought to myself, well, there seems to be a lot of people who just look at a map's BPM and they're like, oh, I can't do that, and then just immediately not play it. And I didn't want to be that way, so it was just like I always wanted to try to go into a map being like, I'm gonna try my best at this and feel it out and see what I'm doing, and understand, see if I can understand it, and if I can't play it, then that's where I determine I can't play it, rather than even before I start the map.
That's completely fair. You can still play that way. I think it's just more like, I don't know, maybe even if it's just after you've played the map once and felt how it was, then maybe look at what the BPM is and be like, okay, so that's what 180 is supposed to feel like. Let's like get a general feel for how 180 is supposed to be, and then try to like replicate that same speed instead of like just kind of playing it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess also, whenever you're tapping, do you ever kind of, not necessarily tap harder, but maybe like have a more prominent tap on like after, I don't know, a few clicks? Like it's like, I can't do it without actually like.
Not with regular streams, like cut streams, yes.
Okay.
Like say Gargoyle, for example.
Yeah.
Definitely a more prominent on every time I move, because I feel like it's syncing my hand up with my tapping.
Yeah, for sure. That's good to do. I just feel like that can actually help quite a lot, even on regular streams. Like, you don't have to do it maybe as much as you do on cut streams, but just like here and there, just having that like more prominent one that you like really hear and feel yourself tap to like right on beat with the song, I think that can keep you in line really well. Just having that after every few clicks or whatever. I do that quite a lot, like pretty much all the time. It just makes it really easy to feel like I'm actually in sync the whole way. And if like you wanted to practice that in particular, there's also like just bringing up a metronome on YouTube and then just like, you know, just like, I forgot, I have noise suppression on. You can't even hear me tapping on the desk. Like, you don't even hear the keyboard. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, noise suppression in Discord's really, really good.
It's too good, dude. Hold on. Like if you were tapping like this and then... I need to turn off the song. I can't do it now. Like I think you know what I mean, but like...
Yeah.
Like I think like if you do that to a metronome and you practice like having those prominent clicks to keep you in rhythm, I think that helps immensely.
Here's another example if we're still just looking at tapping technique and the fact that I can combo but not ack. I think Once Upon a Sun, which was nearly an FC,
Yeah,
but it was like 94% ack. I think it was 93.98.
yeah, almost.
Like it was basically just a choke at the beginning and then I FC the rest of the map, but my UR bar is just all over the place.
I also think that like the way that you're probably reading non-space streams, or maybe it's something you're not doing on space streams as well, but I think that could be contributing a lot to it as well, like the way that you're not staying in sync that much, because like, I guess we can get into more flow aim stuff, but like whenever you're aiming a stream, do you focus much on like new combos or like kind of splitting up the stream into chunks whenever you're reading it to make it more digestible?
I do split the stream up, and I guess that's why like streams that are spaced are easier to probably cut apart, especially when you have really high variations. Like you'll have one part that has like 4 notes and then it will immediately spread out to a bunch of notes, and that's really easy to read for me because it's very obvious where the splits happen.
Yeah, I would encourage you to like do that same exact thing even on the really not so space streams. And like, actually, where do you look whenever you're aiming streams typically?
It's slightly ahead of my cursor. Usually you can kind of tell if I look too far ahead because that's when I start over aiming.
Right. I mean,
but it's just slightly ahead of my cursor.
Yeah, that sounds like right about where you want to be, so that's fine. But I guess I feel like it's just whenever you're doing non-space streams, you just need to probably be reading more like thoroughly, carefully, and like not letting yourself get ahead. Like you still want to be looking in that same spot and just be aiming it, like, I guess, better than you need to, if that makes sense. Like even if you can get away with like kind of having like all over the place aim because it's not very spaced, you still want to be doing your best to like be moving through the center of all the circles of the whole thing and doing it like perfectly, just as you would for a space stream. So I feel like that's where it starts. Oh, sorry, right?
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say that was just a completely mistimed start of the stream, which caused all those 50s.
Yeah, I think that's when like the inconsistency with not space streams starts happening, is if you're like kind of getting lazy on the regular streams because it's not spaced, and then it's like as soon as it gets spaced, like, oh, now I'll focus and actually like read everything super properly.
Yeah, that sounds like a possibility for sure. I wouldn't disagree with that.
And like to make them more like easily chunkable, like you would with a space stream, I usually just use the new combos is like the most common thing I do. Either that or if it's just a direction change of any kind. Always works whether it's new comboed or not. But I find it easiest and most natural to just like every time I see a 1, I can like very clearly see myself get to that 1 and start the next part of the stream very well. And that's also, I wanted to mention, that's also when I would like do a more prominent click in my streaming. I would be like streaming normally, and then every time I see a 1, that's when I might do that like little bit harder of a tap to like make sure I'm on time, you know?
You can see here, even on the slow parts, I'm slightly ahead.
Yeah.
Like, even when I'm hitting accurately, I'm still more favoring the left side of the UR bar.
Yeah, I mean, is your computer good? Because there's also like...
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't know how much like latency you play with, if it's like making you want to start tap earlier.
I mean, I sure hope there's no latency. As far as I know, there's not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deny the possibility that you know, there could be something wrong with the audio or whatever. I don't know, but
yeah, it's possible.
I don't think it is.
And I guess also just like, a more obvious thing, I guess, in general, is like just trying to hear yourself, hear your... Well, actually, I guess you don't tap hard enough to hear your tapping, do you?
I don't hear my tapping.
Right.
Like, I have to take an ear cup off, or like...
Okay. I guess that might not be as relevant for you as it would for me, but like I try to like hear my tapping be in sync with like with the drums or whatever I'm playing to. I mean, you can still feel it though, for sure. Like feel your fingers tapping like right along with the drums or whatever. You can almost, you can probably almost think of it like whenever you feel yourself tapping on the keys, it's as if you're like playing the drums literally. Like it's like every finger tap is like actually the drum beat that you're making happen, kind of. Except that's what hit sounds are for, I suppose, too. I always forget hit sounds are even a thing.
I mean, I could try using some more or some harsher hit sounds.
Yeah, that might help.
I'm not particularly a fan of harsh hit sounds, but if I have to, I have to, just to get the feel. Then I can swap back whenever I.
Right. It might help you to just get a better idea of how you need to be feeling. I guess also, like, another, what I think of as being kind of obvious but helped me a lot before, was like whenever you're aiming streams, like also focus on just watching yourself, not necessarily staring at the cursor, but seeing yourself move through the streams as you're tapping every note. Like for some reason, hearing that at one point helped me a lot to be like, wait, sometimes I don't really think about that, even though it's very obvious that that's what you're doing. Like, never you actually start consciously thinking about seeing your cursor move through a note as you clicked it, rather than thinking of everything as being two separate tasks. It kind of helps a lot because the sync is super important.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and that I think that's what makes like the fact that I can play Gargoyle pretty well, because I always imagine myself aiming each one of the splits individually and each note of the split individually.
Yeah.
And maybe transferring that thought into those streams would be a way to go.
Yeah, I think it's really about just reading the less spaced normal streams that you might normally play kind of mindlessly. You want to actually be reading those super clearly as well. Like put in all that same level of effort, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess also, like, first note of the stream, always the most important. I think you know that.
Absolutely.
And it's the same idea with that as, like, whenever you're chunking up the stream, the first note of every chunk that you made is the most important one to be focused on every time. Because you can almost, like, whenever you chunk up a stream, you can almost think of it as, like, you know, separate streams. Except your tapping goes steady. I guess that covers most of that, unless you have other questions.
Not related to that. I think you pretty much covered at least my concerns or my problems with streams. The other thing is just general consistency on things that aren't streams, like Through the Fire and Flames. I can FC that map. It is an easy 400, but the easy jumps, I will always miss at least one. So it's never it has never been a full FC.
Okay. So just, well, I guess you said in general consistency.
Yeah. And
do you know how consistent you are if you're just like, I don't know, gonna play a low 5-star or something, even TV size and stuff? Like, do you feel like you'll FC that stuff like first try every time almost?
For low 5-star, yeah.
Okay.
When I get around like 5.6, 5.7, depending on how, like, what kind of jumps are in the diff spike, it could vary.
Okay. I think a lot of that, like with jump consistency, it usually is also very reading related, because it's kind of like, it depends. I'd have to watch a bit. Like, do you have a replay of a like general consistency map of any kind, or?
Let me
Before I speak on what the problem might be, it might be better to watch. Find yourself chunking streams too much? Miss all directional changes? If you miss directional changes because of chunking a stream, I feel like, yeah, you might not be chunking it like in the right spots, because a directional change is where a new chunk is meant to start, right? Like, the idea of chunking is so that you don't miss that stuff. And so you don't also like get way ahead of yourself.
Why is this not showing any of my maps? Hello. Hello. Grouping.
You chunk it as one thing. If it's one thing, then you didn't chunk it though, right? Confused.
Trying to find a more recent one.
Isn't that what I mean? Chunking? Chunking means that you're like, if you take like a whole stream, if you chunk it, you're basically separating it into like a bunch of different pieces. You chunked it as an entire thing? That's not chunking. That's just looking at the whole thing. Sorry, I'm like just talking to Phantom about this now.
Yeah, that's fine. It gave me a moment to find something. Ellis, this is a choke on Ellis.
Oh, okay. Oh, that,
So
yeah, that's huge diff spike.
The miss is near the end, but I could say, like, just it's a very consistent place where I will miss. That also goes for like different parts of this map as well. Like I could miss just randomly somewhere in the middle of the map in the jumps.
Right.
So I'm hoping at least there's somewhat, even though I FC it, you can somewhat see if I'm like not reading it right and I'm hesitating or something like that.
Yeah. How recent is this?
This one should be pretty recent.
Okay.
But I can tell you that I've recently was trying to fix the score on this, and it was basically the same deal. So even if this one is a little old, it's going to be pretty accurate.
Okay.
If anything, I could probably just act it a little bit better because the end streams, I think, is where I lost the majority of my act. The end streams aren't really an issue anymore.
Yeah, I can imagine you can do it fine now. A lot of edge hits on those jumps, you know, they're kind of small.
Yeah, I do get edge hits on jumps, and trying to kind of figure out how to fix that has been a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, jumps are like the hardest thing to not get edge hits often if they're like above your comfort zone and spacing and all. But you definitely want to be trying for sure. I feel like your aim is like a tad shaky and wobbly. I don't know if that's ever an issue for you.
It's probably because the way I aim, I lift, and I also in order to aim the next note, which may affect that. But I have noticed, like, while dragging sliders, it's kind of looks weird. Like, I don't know why. And I was considering like using a smoothing plugin just to kind of smooth some of that stuff out.
It might help, yeah. Because I mean, it almost just looks like you're a little bit nervous the whole way through, kind of.
Yeah, and I can tell you I wasn't. I think it's just maybe my grip or something is unstable in that regard.
Yeah, maybe. Whenever you're doing jumps, like even if they're kind of small, do you feel like you usually can like read where they are really well at least? Like you get a good sight of all of them?
Sometimes yes, also sometimes no. And I feel like on the sometimes no, it should, like, the street or the jumps should be readable for me. Like, they don't seem that hard, but I can't quite figure out what's going wrong in my reading.
I feel like it could be like kind of reading too far ahead if it's like a longer jump section. Like, you got the last stream like SS, I think, there. It's a little bit hard to tell from that one, other than just like that you are getting edge hits pretty often on the jumps, but I can't tell you necessarily if that's like, I guess those might be the times that you're just not seeing where the notes are very clearly. I don't know if it's that or if like you just kind of misaimed a little bit because that happens.
Okay, here's I've got a better one.
Okay.
I was looking through my list looking for like any chokes that I had. This one's fairly recent. This one had some interesting, or when I looked at it in Rewind, had some really interesting or questionable ways that I tried to aim and just completely missed.
Okay.
And you have Rewind downloaded, right?
I do. I had to open it though.
This one may be a good one to look in Rewind, and I could tell you exactly even where to go and like what to look at.
Okay.
Oh, hi there, Crazy.
Why is my chat not working? Oh, there you go. Wokage. I actually aimed those 1/3 quite well.
Patterns like that are surprisingly easy to aim for me. And I think it's again the case of my brain waking up and being like, hey, you need to aim, or you need to read this.
Right.
First miss should be coming up soon.
Yeah, just under aimed that. That almost looked like you might have just kind of not looked at where the slider head was very clearly there, but rather just like kind of saw the sliders in that corner and you just threw it over there. We kind of got to the center instead. You know, what I want to recommend is playing AR8 OD10 edits. Or just, I guess, low AR in general can work. I mean, I know you've played easy in the past a lot.
Yeah, it's actually been a while since I've like played easy with any seriousness. Like I've been wanting to focus on other things when I played, so I kind of been ignoring it because I wanted to improve other aspects.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely fine. But I just think, like, maybe if you just got back into easy, if you want to do that a little bit. But I particularly always liked ARA OD10 edits of, like, a standard map, because you can take a map that's, like, normally FCable for you, and something that you might, you know, farm for PP or whatever, and you can make it AR8, and then you kind of start seeing, like, where you start to read too far ahead and where you like skip over notes and things.
Gotcha.
And I think it usually helps a lot with, like, for one, it actually gets your act quite a lot better in my opinion too, because the timing of it's much more difficult OD10 on AR8. But like, it kind of forces you to actually like really see where every note is and see yourself hit everything, because otherwise you'll just like shit miss everywhere.
Yeah, those sliders were aimed really, really weird. When you look at it and rewind, you're going to be like, what the hell?
I wasn't paying enough attention. This will be a really good FC for you though if you got it.
Yeah, I mean, if I can work out the kinks in my aim reading, it's definitely like super FCable.
Read that stream that's like all wobbly and wiggly, even though it's like not spaced. Okay, I forget how this even works, dude.
If there's a file open.
Open replay, oh, okay. okay, I see. Why isn't it here? Do I have to save it?
I assume because you downloaded it, you could probably just.
I got it.
Okay.
So that was like about 3/4 in.
Yeah, I mean you can see where the misses are on the graph.
Oh yeah, yeah. Except
But
that I
this,
don't. Wait, shit.
you have a skin set.
There we go. I don't know why it wasn't popping up.
Oh, okay, there it is. Yeah. So yeah, the first, I'd say look at the second miss that's in there at 225. Yeah. Like slow that down because this was really weird just how I aimed and how I clicked.
I think it might be a little bit farther, isn't it?
225. Like, you see the red marks on the
Yeah, I mean,
on rewind?
I'm at 225, and I didn't see.
Am I really far behind? Okay.
Oh, you meant these sliders?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
no, I mean the two notes that I missed on that stream, like the small stream. The one thing that I was noting was like
okay.
the amount of spacing in between. Like I hit the way I hit that stream. Like I hit the first two, I completely skip over, and then both clicks
Right.
go on the first note of the start of the next combo.
Yeah, they're both like right there. I mean, it kind of just looks like a finger lock. I don't know if you did actually, but
I can't remember what happened there, but
finger lock
you don't
/ over aim.
you don't like how the hits are marked as X and rewind. I mean they're trying to show like which finger clicked what, and
Yeah. I mean, to me that just looked like a finger lock kind of thing.
407 is the weird slider aim. And you know what? It looks like I aimed the sliders fine, but my clicking was just completely off. Like I was just clicking in the future.
Oh yeah, okay. Definitely out of sync there. I mean, that's another thing that I think playing lower AR helps with a lot too, is actually keeping yourself in sync. But yeah, like whenever you're aiming jumps, it's, you know, keeping synchronization is just as important as streams too. That's why being able to actually like see where the notes are super well, and being able to like kind of see yourself hit it at least a little bit, even if it's just like in your peripheral, at least like getting that bit of vision to actually see yourself hitting the jump or about to, can help a lot. And also just like generally not thinking about your aim and tapping as separate things, because they're not really. You like need them to both be cooperating at all times.
Right. I do notice when looking at it slowed down, I don't finish sliders sometimes, and I kind of, even though the slider is technically complete according to the game, I leave the my cursor leaves pretty early to where it definitely adds an element of I could potentially miss the slider end.
Yeah. Like whenever it's kick sliders and stuff, it's usually not a big deal, but depending on the map you're playing, it could you might be leaving the sliders a little bit too early. It's like you don't need to like fully follow every little kick slider, but maybe just like holding it just a split second longer, putting some focus into that. God, it sounds so cursed to listen to it that slow. Why is the audio so out of sync with it now?
You get out of sync.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I think that you'd also like probably do pretty well on the ARA edits too. Like I don't feel like it's gonna be too difficult for you or anything either.
I'm not worried about like the actual reading AR8. I think I could confidently read it, but if
Oh
it's
yeah.
going to have, if it's going to help with my actual aim sync, then that's really important because
Yeah.
I guess my aim sync is definitely really needing improvement.
It might also have a bit to do with like I don't know if you still do it now, but I do remember before like whenever you'd aim jumps, you were like hyper snappy, like to the point of where it kind of looked like it was very separated. You know, it's like I'm gonna snap here and like I'll tap to the beat, but I'm just like kind of snapping to every individual one. You know.
Yeah, I don't do that as much anymore. I think that kind of left me when I started upping my tablet area.
Okay.
But when my tablet area was smaller, I was super snappy.
Like, it's fine to be snappy though. I always try not to tell people to like not snap ever, but I think it can have a bit of a sync issue for some people. Yeah, like you could maybe try this with AR8 even. I don't know if this will be like a bit tough, but I think you could probably do it. Apparently I did it. I bet that would even help with stream aim a lot too, with like the more dense ones. If you play stream maps that aren't super spaced on AR8, having to read them on AR8 really makes you need to be thorough. It's
I mean,
pretty
even
hard.
on AR9, like density can get really big with streams.
Yeah.
Like I notice I struggle to read sometimes with AR9 on streams.
I mean, also, like, if you didn't want to do AR8 on certain maps, like, if it's a really hard stream map, but you want to, like, force your reading to, like, need to be more thorough, you can just put it on AR9 then, if that's about where you need it. Doesn't have to be 8. Yeah, that is at least what I would recommend you do, is playing a lot of low AR. I mean, it doesn't have to be, like, your whole session, but, like, if you just warm up with it, is usually what I say to do. Like, 30 minutes, whatever. Do some AR8, OD10, or easy, all that. But I would say preferably AR8, OD10 on like maps that are typically FCable for you, or like at least almost.
Here's a pure aim one that I did recently.
Okay.
I think this one probably is you could really see like where my aim's going wrong just because of the nature of the map.
Do OD9 to feel better about yourself. You can actually do that if you want. Doesn't have to be 10. Oh, this is like 240, isn't it?
Fun map, fun song, but my aim really struggles on it.
Got a sick play lake. Nice, congrats. I guess
just watching
also,
through your stream, I could see hitting a lot of corners of the circles.
yeah, for sure. I think, in all fairness, that's largely from this being so fast too, though. Like, I think this is just probably, like, kind of at the top of your aim speed.
That's fair, yeah.
Or at least, like, aim speed to, like, play well, if that makes sense. Like, I'm sure you can move faster if you're just like... Oh, oops. I did not mean to do that. I hit the back button on my mouse. Yeah, what was I gonna say? I forget now. Oh, like whenever you're playing the AR8 OD10 stuff, I think like once you're done warming up with it, it's also important to kind of put the focus in a bit to be reading the regular AR maps afterwards, kind of in the same way. Like, don't just, you know, I don't imagine you would, but I wouldn't ever let yourself just mindlessly play the AR8 stuff and then just kind of like move on to the AR9 and be like, all right, time to just like go back to playing how I normally play. Like, it won't just be automatic. You gotta kind of put in that effort to be reading it the way that you were reading the AR8 ones very thoroughly. And if you need to, also, like, you can, whenever you're warming up, you get through your AR8 and, like, maybe play a few just, like, low 5 stars of, like, general consistency, jumps, bursts, that kind of thing, to just, like, try to get that feeling of how that reading is on regular maps, on something, you know, much easier that you can normally FC anyways. And then slowly move into the hard stuff. That way it's not as, like, huge of a jump. I guess I could also recommend that you do like auto method, playing 1 stars.
Yeah, that's actually something I don't think I've really done yet. Like I've done a little bit of like low star maps for warming up, but besides that, like I don't think I've really put any focus into auto method style.
Yeah, I think that's also worth doing. Like, just doing a few 1 stars, even 2 or 3, I think is okay. Like, it's meant to be on 1 stars, but I think that it works fine. Like, if you do a 1 star to get your focus in playing it that way, getting your cursor exactly in the middle of every note, middle of every slider ball as you're following it, all that stuff. And then you kind of, even if it's like a lot harder to do it on 2 and 3 stars, to like be in the center of every slider ball, like, you just put that same level of effort in and do your best. I think it kind of still works and helps you start building into the higher stars to, again, like, kind of translate that same type of reading. Rather than just, like, going straight from, okay, I played a 1 star, and now I'm going to play a 5 star and try to read that way. It can be a little bit harder. Yeah, it could just be probably really helpful to have like a whole warm-up routine like that. Maybe it ends up being like 45 minutes total, or even an hour depending on how long you want to do it, of just like, okay, I'm going to play a few 1 stars or something, maybe a 2 or 3 star, and then after I'm done with that, I'm going to move on to my ARE OD10 edits and easy maybe a little bit, and then you might move into actually playing some general consistency of the like 5-ish stars to try and get your reading to feel right, and then you move into the harder maps.
Yeah. I would also say I don't have a well thought out like warm up. I usually just do what I feel like I need to warm up, which probably is not good. I should probably have an idea on generally what I should be warming up.
Yeah, I think it's a good habit to kind of have a bit of warm up for everything in general. And then, like, once you get through that everyday routine, that's when you can kind of judge, like, okay, what's feeling good today? What's feeling bad? I'm going to prioritize playing streams because my streams feel good. I'll maybe not play as many jump maps today or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I think that there should be some level of a routine of, like, things that you're playing to try and get yourself to a base level every day of playing the same. mean, yeah, to be honest, you don't do too bad on this though, considering it's 240. But yeah, I guess another thing for jumps, like more for what you do, maybe past your warm-up routine or like at the end of the warm-up, like playing cross-screen jumps. Like I'm sure you've seen me play many times, Chocobo and stuff.
Yeah, you've definitely sent me those maps.
Yeah, like,
and I haven't had like a well-defined time that I play them. I usually just play them when I feel like it.
yeah. I think that stuff is definitely good. It's like, obviously that's more of the skill cap oriented portion of it, but it can be good to play that stuff. Like, you warmed up your reading and all that, and then now you're playing harder maps. Okay, I'm really ready to like try and see how I do on these super giga-spaced ones, see if my reading can handle that now. So they can be like kind of like benchmarks too, I guess. And like if you find ones that you're comfortable enough with, like it's low enough BPM that you can really read the cross-screen jumps, it can also sort of help to just calibrate your aim, even towards the beginning of the session.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers aim and reading, right? Unless you've got questions or don't understand something.
No, I think I fully understand.
Okay. Do you have any other like main topics?
I'm just reading over my notes. I think that's pretty much everything. I don't know what the hell some of the stuff that I wrote down earlier even means.
Okay.
Oh, 3-note the kick slider burst stamina drain. I kind of put that somewhere in between all the all my other notes, but big stamina drain for me is doing the three note burst to kick slider, like say the end of Angé du Bon Per. Which is probably horribly pronounced for
I know exactly what you mean though.
But yeah,
like I always think of Louder Than Steel has it. It's like the
Louder
same
Than Steel
thing.
has it too, yeah. Yeah, but for whatever reason, that pattern, that movement, just absolute stamina drain for me.
On your tapping?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I at least don't really think about them too much different than doing a normal triple in terms of tapping. But I like, for me actually, it's, if it's more stamina draining at all for me personally, it's usually like my aim, because I kind of am more forced to snap to each one. I have less time to get between them because I have to make sure I held the slider at least like that split second.
Right.
But I guess I would, like, I would try to tap them about the same as you would a normal triple. Like, have you tried doing that?
Yeah, and I missed the slider end, and I suspect it actually has something to do with the way I tap, because despite me sort of having a somewhat symmetrical amount of tapping in between, or like in the total of a map, like if I'm start a stream, I can almost guarantee it's going to be my middle finger. And if I'm doing something like that, I think, do I finish the stream on my middle finger? It would be 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so, or finish so it would be what, like I'm holding down that, the slider with my middle finger and then starting the next portion with my middle finger. So I'm basically like, I have the same amount of time in between the end of that, the end of the slider and the next circle, as if I was doing just the maps BPM stream. So imagine like tapping a note in between. I don't know if that makes sense, what the way I'm trying to explain it.
I think so. I mean, I think I do the same thing. Like, I start triples on the same finger every time, and
okay.
Like, I actually, I do one thing I don't even know if it's is as common, but like doubles on their sliders, I start them on the same finger I was holding the slider. But
Yeah, I mean that was just kind of like my suspicion on maybe why it's so stamina draining for me, but
Yeah, I
uh,
think that could be part of it. Like if you want to, I guess do you already know how to like if there's just back to back triples? Do you know how to start them like alternating like with which finger you started on?
uh, I sort of, but whenever I force myself to try and actually do them fully alternated, I just absolutely lose all accuracy. Like I
Okay.
I lose finger control is what it is. It's just like the full alternate just is not does not fit my finger control, which it would probably be good to know because starting a stream on my index finger or just always ends with me hitting the stream inaccurately.
Oh, okay. I mean that's something that could be worth learning. Like it's something I still need to do myself as well with like getting better at starting things on my other finger. I can like kind of do it, but it's really iffy depending. Usually if it's like, jumps and then there's a triple in the middle. But like if you wanted to actually learn how to do that, I would probably play like I don't know, 4 or 5 stars or something, like things that are really easy and just give yourself that all that like leeway and extra time to like let your brain process, okay, there's a triple here. I need to start on the other finger and actually do
Yeah,
it properly. So if you wanted to work on that, that's what I would do is play a lot lower stars so that's more like fundamental level of how to do it.
right.
Another thing I
Yeah,
thought of though, because you like single tap on both fingers, right?
right.
If you come across these patterns where there's so many triples back to back that are with the kick sliders, maybe after you do like 3 or 4 of them, you're like, okay, I'm starting to feel the stamina drain. Then like you could just start doing a bunch of them in a row on the other finger, and then a bunch of them in a row on the other
Yeah,
finger, kind of thing.
right. It's just getting my brain to remember to because I built up such a muscle memory of always starting on my middle finger that
Yeah,
whenever I try to start on my index finger, sometimes I still force my middle finger.
yeah, and I think that can be okay, but it's of course always gonna be, I guess, more efficient to be able to do both fingers. So yeah, I guess I'm not sure why else that pattern in particular would be like super stamina draining for you, unless it's like your reading just doesn't like it's like you're kind of falling behind in that regard, because that can make you lose stamina too.
Mhm.
Like, do you feel like you have trouble getting to the next one on like in time, like or you're like almost not getting there quick enough? Or
No,
anything?
in fact, I feel like most of the time, as long as they're not really, really far out, then like maybe say on Legends of Millennia, yeah, Legends of Millennium,
Yeah,
where they get really, really far, like literal cross screen.
right.
I don't feel like I have any trouble reading them.
Okay, so that's probably not the problem. I mean, I guess in general, do you like tense up whenever those patterns come up too, though? Because it could just be like an unconscious, like, I'm scared of this pattern because I know it's given me stamina issues in the past, so now I'm going to tense up every time because human.
It could be.
Just like putting in that extra effort to make sure you're staying as loose as you normally would on regular triples could be as simple as that too. Back from the store, welcome back. The Legends of Millennia, my favorite map, dude. Yeah, other than just like having that conscious effort to make sure you're staying loose on it, I would just, I guess, try to actually learn to start things on your other finger if it's that much of a concern for you.
Yeah.
Because in general, like even just aside from this pattern in particular you're having trouble with, if you can start things on your other finger, it'll help with a bunch of different things. Even just like
Right.
general finger control. I bet you like stream low BPM a little bit better too. Like if you just having that level of control with both of your fingers helps so much. Like even though I still kind of suck at it, I've at least noticed a lot that I still get a lot more of a feeling of control, even just from a little bit of practice on it.
Then that's definitely something I'll look into working on.
And like for a map in particular, that could be good too. It might be kind of hard. Like I always imagine that this map is like scary to do. Swapping finger you're starting on, egg pain.
Oh yeah.
I assume you have it. I think.
I do have it.
Yeah. Like this is perfect for practice, though. I guess you can even slow it down more if you want it. If you really need more time to process this stuff as you're playing it. This is definitely
I'd
good.
say for the most part, this map on the lowest diff is fine up until the end, and then I start getting confused when I'm trying to read the.
Yeah, I actually remember you telling me that before. But in general, if you're just trying to like practice starting on the other finger, you don't even need to worry about the ending as much. That's just more of a reading thing. Like you could even just practice this literally the first minute of the map, and it's just single, triple, single, triple, single, triple, and just focus on that, because that alone is enough to like help you learn. So is that like kind of all you had in your notes, or did you have something else random in there?
That's just about everything I had in my notes.
Okay.
I don't really see anything else that wasn't covered.
And I mean, from watching you play, I feel like the stuff we went over are like the main things I see anyways, so I'm not sure what else I would really need to advise you to do.
I think that's pretty much it. Like I don't really have much of any stamina complaints.
Yeah,
really,
I feel like you
really
got
too
that down.
concerned with my tapping. I mean, aside from like the just general tapping minus the low BPM finger control.
Yeah, I would say you're pretty solid in that regard. Yeah, I'm not really thinking of anything else.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through some of my my recent scores just to see if there's anything that I'm missing, but it looks like pretty much all of my scores that have a choke or whatever are have been covered.
I also feel like you're like pretty decent on like AR10 or even a little bit above it sometimes too, so that's not really too much of an issue.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned with AR10. Some AR10 streams are like if they get high enough BPM, they get kind of unreadable for me. Like Stairway to Heaven, something like that. Whatever.
Oh, Sky of Twilight. Wait, that's AR 9.3 though. Unless you're playing that with Hard Rock, Monka.
Tower of Heaven. Why can I not remember the name of the map? AR equals 10. Ascension to Heaven. There we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I feel like that stuff, it's kind of like I don't think you're unable to read the patterns or anything. It's just like you're gonna have your reading speed increase over time from practicing that stuff. Like it's something you're not gonna be able to gradually get better at, unless it does become a problem later. But for now, I would say it's probably nothing to worry about. Just kind of out of your skill cap for now. I don't see anything else on your profile either, really. I need to point out. And what is this? Play history spike 11k.
that was when I discovered the game.
11k, and then it immediately drops down.
Yeah, that was when I was like playing 12 hours a day as a new player. And I did that like the entire month, 11,000. And then you can kind of tell the dips and spikes whenever a new Path of Exile league comes out.
Yeah. Favoriting big maps, always good. Yeah, I think that's pretty good for now. If you're good with that, don't have any more questions.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
All right.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for doing it on stream and all that. It was fun. Yeah, I'll see you in chat in a minute.
All right.